But really, the event they're going to look up back to for this, if it goes as planned, is the 2010 election. Because if the economy is not stimulated, midterm after an election of a brand new president, things will not go well. They just won't. So it's just something to keep an eye on there. So yeah, it is very, very tough. And so the U.S. Chamber of Congress, they're getting in on this. $82 million in lobbying in Washington last year. They sent a letter to the White House and Congress on Tuesday, urging them to consider targeting any additional stimulus checks based on income, loss of employment, or similar criteria. The corporate lobbying group, which members undoubtedly benefit from a desperate workforce, attempted to twist census data showing broad economic devastation to make the point that families earning more than $50,000 don't need new survival checks. While the pandemic-induced recession has created near unprecedented levels of hardship, the impact has not been universal. So yeah, there's some people skating by just free. The Census Bureau Pulse survey indicates that while a majority of households with less than $50,000 in income have experienced a loss of employment income, a majority of households with more than $50,000 in income, including those between $50,000 and $150,000, have not experienced any loss in earned income. This is a pretty misleading way to frame the census survey results. Recent census data shows that 45% of households earning between $50,000 and $150,000 have experienced a loss of employment income since March 2020. Nearly 48% of households earning $50,000 and $75,000, nearly a quarter of households earning between $50,000 and $150,000 say they expect to lose employment income over the next 4 weeks. And that's an important thing because this is a continuing crisis. This is something that is not quite over. We don't really know when it's going to end, and it probably won't end the moment things snap back to normal, because there, believe it or not, was pretty long-lasting damage in terms of major industries like the hospitality industry that was closed. That obviously has major ripple effects throughout a bunch of different areas, and targeting aid to that area, I mean, it is fine, but you have to realize, and targeting it by, I think, income to a certain extent is fine, but just $50,000 to $150,000, I think really the idea is that the income lost should be what is targeted here. So the chamber is adding again its voice to a chorus of pleas in the Beltway to limit who's eligible for COVID relief checks. Limit it down just to the people who just really, really need it to survive. That's all who can get it at this point. This is what they're making it, really. The campaign was kicked off by discredited austerity economist Larry Summers and columnists of the Washington Post and Bloomberg News, which are owned by billionaires Jeff Bezos and Mike Bloomberg, respectively. President Biden's COVID plan would send full $1,400 survival checks to individuals earning up to $75,000 and couples earning up to $150,000. Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia has repeatedly demanded the relief checks be targeted. So that's, of course, the partisan battle the Democrats are facing at the moment. Senate Republicans on Wednesday proposed that Congress limit the full stimulus checks to individuals earning up to $40,000 and couples earning up to $80,000. So that would be a move that would deny checks to an additional 80 million people, according to the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy. The White House indicated it does not support the GOP's proposed income caps, but Biden and his team have continually said they are open to further limiting eligibility. At the latest, it seems it's 50,000 for the limit on the $1,400 checks. So that's, if you make $50,000, that is the highest threshold that you can deal with. So the Washington Post's Jeff Stein reported on Tuesday that some senior Democrats are looking at lowering thresholds on stimulus payments so they can start phasing out above $50,000 for single taxpayers and $75,000 for head of households and $100,000 for married couples. He cautioned that the talks are still fluid. At the same time, some congressional Democrats are floating new tax cuts that could primarily benefit the wealthy. As Jeff Stein says on Twitter, confirmed these cutouts are seriously explored with third senior Dem GOP and some centrist Dems who have said checks proposal gives money to those who don't need. Others say lower limits would mean millions who need relief with current year income shocks would miss out. And that's a big thing that a lot of people are worried about, especially on the progressive side. Like, where would be the people who say, for example, made 150 to went from 150,000 to 50,000, or really lost a lot more than that, or maybe we're coming from $200,000 to $100,000. Like, that is a income shock that is going to drastically change your life standards. And if those people get money, it's not the end of the world. It really isn't. But of course, a lot of the money should go to, and a far majority will go to, the people hardest hit. And if there's missing stimulation in the economy, it wouldn't be the end of the world. And if there's more than quote unquote necessary, which I mean, I guess you can take as much as you'll get, it will be, again, not the end of the world, and probably a very good thing. So, yeah, so it's really that these talks are really being completely lowered. This is the lowering. This is the 80 million, not 80 million people, but that has not been scored yet. How many people are gonna, with these new restrictions proposed by the Democrats, which are, again, the limit is $50K for single taxpayers, $75K for head of households, and $100K for married couples, in terms of who can get the $1,400 checks. Yeah, so that is the same type, and then meanwhile we have these congressional tax cuts that will go into people like some of the wealthiest that we see. Let's find out just a little bit more about that. That would be repealing the SALT cap. That would be really the one that is going to be primarily one that would free up a lot of money for the wealthy among us. That is kind of what Jeff Stein was referencing. Of course, the state and local tax deduction primarily does benefit blue states. So, and mostly rich people in blue states. The campaign to limit survival check eligibility was recently boosted by a study by economists at Opportunity Insights, a Harvard University think tank bankrolled by the likes of Mark Zuckerberg, Bloomberg, and Bill Gates. The study, based on consumer spending data, found that households with incomes above $78,000 will spend only $45 of the $600 payments they received within the first month of the checks being sent. Again, it's their money. They can do whatever they want with it. The authors wrote that households will largely returned to work and have even accrued additional savings. People with economic security? Oh, no. What? That's awful. Again, while lower income households have been disproportionately affected by the pandemic, census data suggests that huge swaths of Americans across income levels have been impacted by COVID-19. Democrats just took control of the U.S. Senate because they won 2 miracle runoff races in Georgia last month, campaigning at all levels on a promise to give voters, again, $2,000 checks, not $1,400 checks, $2,000 checks. 53% of all Georgia households have reported losing employment income during the pandemic, including 51% of Georgia households earning between $50,000 and $150,000. This is a great way, again, to give them the middle finger. And if you want Raphael Warnock to win in 2022, this is the exact way to make sure that he does not. Like, it's literally as clear as day here. The Opportunity Insight study notably lumps together all households earning more than $78K, when census data indicates that from families earning between $75,000 and $150,000 are significantly more likely to have experienced a loss in income during the pandemic than households earning more than $200,000. So just for some reason, after that $150K threshold, things get significantly harder. There's one glaring problem with this push here to limit who receives a survival check. Eligibility for the next checks will be determined based on 2019 tax returns before the pandemic started. All this, again, it's just so stupid and so atrocious. We will try to follow it here for you, but we are running out of time. We're going to be back on Sunday with our next episode.